Cameron Brink just dropped one of those lines that makes you stop, rewind, and really think about where the WNBA is right now. The Los Angeles Sparks forward and former number 2 overall pick revealed that at one point, the private chef she hired was costing more per month than her actual WNBA salary. Not more than her game check. Not more than her rent. Literally more than what the league was paying her to be one of its marquee young stars. It's funny on the surface, but when you sit with it, it says a lot about the financial reality facing women's basketball players, even at the top of the draft. Brink shared the details on her own show, the Straight to Cam podcast. She was talking about trying to take care of her body while rehabbing an injury and mentioned bringing in a private chef for herself and her fiancé, Ben Felter. The price tag? About $7,000 a month. She then pointed out that her WNBA salary works out to roughly $6,500 a month. In other words, just feeding herself the way an elite pro athlete, she was technically outpacing what she was being paid as one of the faces of the Sparks rebuild. She even laughed about the fact that her chef was shopping at Erewhon for everything. If you know LA, you know that's pretty much the most expensive place you can buy groceries. As she put it, she doesn't have an NBA salary to support that kind of bill. To really understand why that hit so hard with fans, you have to remember who Cameron Brink is in this league. She wasn't some late-round gamble. She was taken second overall in the 2024 WNBA draft, right after Caitlin Clark went first to the Indiana Fever. There was real buzz around Brink coming to Los Angeles, a skilled, modern big who could defend, stretch the floor, and give the Sparks a new identity alongside other young talent. For a franchise trying to get back to relevance, she was a huge piece of the vision. Sponsors, broadcasts, and lead promos treated her like a central figure in the next era of the WNBA. But the start of her pro career has not gone the way anyone hoped. A torn ACL derailed her momentum and limited her to just 34 games over her first 2 seasons. According to ESPN's numbers, she's averaged 5.1 points and 4.3 rebounds in that small sample, far below what she or the team expected, mostly because she's been fighting just to stay on the floor. That's exactly why she tried hiring a private chef, to fuel her body properly during rehab and make sure she's doing everything she can to come back stronger. That context is important. This wasn't about luxury. It was about survival as a high-performance athlete. The irony, of course, is that getting that level of support is brutally expensive. $7,000 a month for a chef is a lot for any young player, especially one making about $6,500 a month from her primary job. Even if you factor in endorsements and overseas income, that's still a serious chunk of cash. When she jokes about not having NBA money, she's pointing at something we all know but sometimes forget. WNBA contracts, even for top picks, are nowhere near what people imagine when they hear pro basketball player in Los Angeles. On the men's side, the contrast is massive. You've heard the stories about LeBron James reportedly investing over $1 million a year into his body. Chefs, trainers, recovery tech, cryotherapy, massage, everything. He can afford to build a full-time performance ecosystem around himself because NBA salaries at the superstar level are north of $40 million a year, not counting endorsements. And it's not just LeBron. For decades, guys like Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan have turned their NBA earnings into generational wealth and global business empires. They can throw money at recovery and nutrition without blinking. WNBA players, even the top rookies, are making a fraction of that. Brink's rookie scale deal, like most, is structured with a modest base salary that might sound fine if you're comparing it to a regular office job, but not when you account for physical demands, the short career window, and the cost of living in places like Los Angeles. That's why her chef anecdote feels so powerful. It's a simple way of saying, I'm expected to perform like a global star, but my resources don't match the standard. This is also why so many WNBA players have historically gone overseas in the off-season. For years, it was almost a given that if you wanted to make real money as a women's pro, you played your WNBA season in the summer, then flew to Europe, Asia, or Australia to pick up a second paycheck in winter. That grind means no real off-season, constant travel, different coaching staffs, new teammates every few months, and risk of burnout or injury. We've seen some of the consequences of that system already. from injuries piling up to scary situations involving international politics and safety. Players have pushed back on that reality for a long time. Brink's comments are landing at a very specific and sensitive moment for the league. Right now, the WNBA and the Women's National Basketball Players Association are deep in negotiations over a new collective bargaining agreement. This isn't just about a small raise or a couple of perks. It's a fundamental conversation about what it means to be a professional in this league in 2026 and beyond. Players are asking for higher base salaries that reflect the growth in viewership and sponsorship, better travel conditions, improved benefits, and enough financial security that they're not forced to take every overseas offer just to pay their bills. There's a real deadline attached to all this. The league has set March 10th as a cutoff to finalize a new CBA. If they don't get a deal done, the 2026 season is at risk of being delayed or even pushed toward a lockout scenario. That's not just a paper issue. It affects where players live, how teams recruit, how networks schedule programming, and how fans plan their summers. The pressure is on both sides to find a number and a structure that everyone can live with. The WNBA has already floated a proposal that grabbed headlines, raising the average salary from about $120,000 in 2025 to roughly $540,000 in 2026. On paper, that is a huge jump. It would change daily life for a lot of players. Suddenly, having a chef, a personal trainer, and a real off-season might be normal instead of a luxury reserved for a tiny handful of stars with big shoe deals. But even that jump, as eye-popping as it looks in isolation, still leaves the WNBA far behind the NBA in raw dollars. It's a sign of progress, not equality. In that context, Brink's chef story feels a lot less like a random personal detail and more like a pointed example dropped into the public conversation. Whether she meant it that way or not, the timing is impossible to ignore. You've got a high-profile, photogenic, marketable young player, someone drafted right after Caitlin Clark, someone used in promotional material as part of the league's future, saying on her own platform, "I try to invest in my body the way I needed to, and it costs more than my WNBA pay." That's basically a walking, talking argument in favor of the union's position. It also speaks to who has a voice in this new era, with names like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, and others drawing massive college audiences before they even set foot in the league. The WNBA is getting an influx of players who already have built-in fan bases. They come with platforms, podcasts, social media followings, brand deals, and a good sense of how to shape a narrative. When someone like Brink casually mentions her financial reality, it doesn't disappear into the background. It becomes a talking point across sports shows and social feeds. Public reaction to this kind of thing tends to split into two camps. On one side, you have fans and observers who see Brink's comments and feel indignation. They point to sold-out arenas, rising TV ratings, packed college games leading into pros, and say, why aren't these women being paid more when the interest is clearly there? On the other side, you have people who rely on the old argument. The NBA makes more revenue, so of course its players get bigger paychecks. That's technically true in broad strokes, but it glosses over the question of how much of the WNBA's growing revenue pie is actually reaching the players versus sitting with team owners and league structures. There's also the issue of what the job really demands. Playing in the WNBA isn't a 9 to 5 office role. It's non-stop training, film study, media obligations, community events, plus the constant pressure to stay in peak shape. Add in the mental toll of injuries like Brink's ACL tear, and you start to understand why having access to high-end recovery tools and nutrition isn't a luxury add-on. It's a requirement to remain competitive and healthy. If players can't afford that level of care on their base salaries, something is off balance. Brink's mention of Eruhan is almost comical, but hints at another reality too. Cost of living. Being drafted by the Los Angeles Sparks means building your life in Southern California, one of the most expensive regions in the country. Rent, food, transportation, taxes, everything is higher there. Even a 6-figure annual income can feel tight once you start layering on professional training expenses, rehab work, and yes, a chef to handle anti-inflammatory meals and precise macros while you're rehabbing a ligament. At the same time, you've got to remember she's not living in a vacuum. Brink has a fiancé, a life off the court, and probably family back home she's thinking about too. When she says she doesn't have an NBA salary, she's also reminding everyone that top WNBA picks aren't automatically millionaires. They're young women in their early 20s trying to build careers, stay healthy, and maybe support others, all while being held up as the new faces of a growing league. The upcoming CBA is supposed to address exactly this kind of gap. The WNBPA has been vocal about wanting pay that matches the league's growth, better travel, charter flights instead of exhausting commercial trips, and long-term stability. The ownership and league office are looking at their balance sheets, forecasts, and media contracts, trying to figure out how far they can stretch without overcommitting. In the middle of the players, some of whom, like Brink, are now using their own platforms to remind everyone what the current system really looks like from the inside. If the league's proposed salary increase comes through anything close to what has been floated, it would be transformative. Suddenly, top prospects and established veterans alike could afford to build out full performance teams, chefs, physiotherapists, private trainers, without completely draining their wallets or depending on risky overseas stints. That would likely lead to better play, fewer injuries, and a more marketable product overall. But getting there requires pushing through months of negotiation and a hard March 10th deadline, with the threat of delayed or disrupted 2026 season hanging in the background. Right now, Cameron Brink's anecdote is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that conversation. It's simple, relatable, and hard to spin. One of the league's brightest young names tried to do what her male counterparts do routinely, hire a chef to optimize recovery, and found that the costs outstrip her own WNBA paycheck. You don't need to be a cap expert or labor lawyer to see what's off about that picture. As that CBA clock ticks down, expect to hear her name, and this chef example, brought up again and again, it connects the dots between the glittering image of professional women's basketball, packed arenas, viral highlights, players on magazine covers, and the day-to-day math that still forces too many of them to stretch every dollar or hop on a plane overseas just to make ends meet. Cameron Brink didn't deliver a formal speech or a carefully worded statement. She just talked honestly on her own podcast about what it takes to be a pro in her situation. But in doing that, she may have given the Players Union one of its most powerful talking points heading into the most important set of negotiations the WNBA has faced in years. The question now is whether the league will answer that reality with numbers that finally match the product these women are putting on the floor.